What's up, everybody? This is Jason, the one and only, your punk rock guru, the Miami Beach guru. You know, praying won't help, so we gotta hustle hard. The only thing that really matters, right? Because either live on your knees or you don't. But what I'm gonna talk today about, it's been a while since I've been on, so I wanted to apologize to everybody. I've been having a lot of other shit going on, and it was just a long week, so I haven't really thought about much besides just kind of focusing on the task that we're at hand. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of how to think critically and how, in a sense, we're not taught to think critically in a way. You know, it's through our society these days, thinking critically is almost like being a free thinker and being free, if you will, is actually almost considered a anomaly. It's like the worst thing people can do in a sense, because if you do it, you know, you're no longer caught in a trap. You're free. And a lot of people are going to think maybe I'm going on a holy rant or a spiritual rant here, possibly a spiritual one, but I'm not going on a holy rant, I promise you. And this has nothing to do with life after death, anything like that. In a sense, this is more to do with a life before death, if you will. And that gets, if that actually makes sense, then doesn't make sense now, then it will later, okay? Because, you know, most of us are trapped in the cycle of, you know, we grow up, you got to go to a good school, you go to that good school, then you're going to get a job, and then you get a job, and then you have a family, then you reproduce, and then you die. Yeah, you know, I mean, this isn't true for all of us, but for the most part, that's kind of what society expects of us, you know. But kind of like on Fight Club, you know, especially with us men, we're a generation of men being raised by women, and you know, maybe it's not necessarily the best thing sometimes, because we're caught in a cycle. And to break that cycle, in a sense, you have to learn to be able to be a free and critical thinker. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, we all kind of suffer by a consistent blindness, if you will. We have a closed-mindedness to the amounts, and this amounts pretty much to an imprisonment within our own selves, you know. So it's a real rough one, you know. We are literally trapped in the cycle that is our own culture and our own minds, you know. It's a horrible thing. And realize that as these prisoners that we're trapped, as a prisoner trapped, you'll never be free. And I know that sounds cheesy, but the prison is so wonderfully, beautifully designed by the powers that be that we don't even know we're in it. It's kind of like that old David Icke saying, you know, that the greatest prison is the one where the prisoner doesn't even know that he isn't free, or she, you know. It reminds me of this cheesy saying, there's an old fish and he's swimming, and he swims by there's two young fish, and they're swimming by him, and they stop and they say hello, and he looks at the two young fish and says, "Hey guys, how's the water?" And the fish swim away, and they depart, and the little fish swim away, and they stop for a second and say, "Well, what the fuck is water, man? What is he even talking about?" And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's kind of like the older, wiser fish. But and the fish don't understand yet what the water is. But don't worry, I'm not going to claim to be wise, although I am probably older. But what it really comes down to is perception. And perception is what I'm talking about. And perception of freedom of thought. You know, there's another one that I really like. I love these parables. And there's an atheist, and he's a devout atheist. And then there's a devout Christian. And they're in the wilds of Alaska, and they're up there, they're working, and they're trappers, whatever it is they are. You know, maybe they're working the oil fields, whatever. But they're in the bar, and they're having a beer, and they're talking the idea of religion. And then the atheist says, "Look, man, it's not that I haven't tried your God." He said, "I was once trapped in the middle of a blizzard, and it was this terrible blizzard, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die." He said, "So I dropped down to my knees, and I prayed. I said, 'Oh Lord, please, please, help me get out of this, and just help me, send me something where I can find my way home and I don't die.'" And then the believer says, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Oh, well, nothing much." He said, "I was totally lost, and out of the blue, you know, these two Inuits, these two Eskimos, they came up to me and they said, 'Hey, we know the way back to your camp.'" So he was like, "Okay, cool. Well, that was a gift from God. You prayed to God. God sent you those two people to help you." He's like, "No, I didn't. They just happened to cross by." The trick to this is, what I'm talking about is the idea of thinking critically and thinking free. Both of those people are trapped. One is trapped in his dogma and the other is trapped in his dogma. Neither one of them are right, and neither one of them are wrong. Yet neither one of them are open-minded enough to see what it is that the other is talking about. And that's kind of one of the ideas of critical thinking. The idea of critical thinking is that you have to actually be able to get outside of what the perception that you are the most important thing in the world. Now, don't get me wrong. This idea is common. It's kind of like our default setting, if you will. We are designed to believe that the entire universe, in a sense, revolves around us. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm that. It's always I, the ego. Okay? But are you yours? Are you your own person? You know, what is this that actually defines the I? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's your personal experiences and your personal thoughts. Now, are these personal experiences necessarily good? That depends. Once again, eye of the beholder, right? Yeah, well, it is what it is on that. Sorry, caught some wind right there. I'm in the middle of something. But to the point, this is where we're getting back to critical thinking. In essence, it's kind of like if you were graduating college, okay? Did you go to college because you wanted to learn stuff? Is the general ed classes that you learned in college really going to make you a better person in life? I'm going to say no. But the reason we go to college is actually to learn how to possibly think and how to think critically. And once we do this, we start to become free. We start to become less self-centered. And the more that we adjust, in a sense, to being less self-centered, the more that we actually exist. You know, like I said, we pay attention to the world around us. Once we learn how to think, in a sense, that's when we learn to take control. And by taking control, we actually become free. It's not about not thinking. You know, if you let the mind go, though, it's about controlling what it is you think. If you let the mind go, the mind will go. It will just go crazy, and you will have thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts, and none of it really makes sense, and none of it really matters because it's all going to be egocentric. The mind, in a sense, you could be an excellent servant to your mind, but the mind itself is going to be a horrific master. It could be an excellent master, and you could be an excellent servant or an excellent master, I guess. Make it sound a little bit easier for people out there, so I don't sound like I'm talking around in circles. I got told the other day that somebody was reading the Tenets of Jason, and they were like, "Okay, cool," but it's always like you're talking in circles, and I get lost in the context, and it's possibly true. It actually does usually happen that way, but I think any sort of religious text, in a sense, that's how it usually ends up being. Okay, well, let's get to a little bit more of it then, okay? It's just that most people's lives, you're going to realize, are kind of based off a few things. You know, like I said, you're born, you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, you get a family, reproduce, you die. There's not a lot in between that actually seems fun. So most of our lives are kind of based upon boredom, routine, frustration, and sadly, exhaustion. Take an example like say you got a shitty ass job, or just a good job, but it's just one of the mind-sucking, mindless jobs, and you get stuck into it. You have the boredom of your job, you have the routine of the job, then you have the frustration from the boredom and the routine, and then you get the exhaustion. You wake up in the morning, 6 a.m. or some horrible time, you routinely just go to the shower, chug your coffee, get into horrific traffic, go to a job that you probably hate, sit there all day bored at some mindless thing, and then you actually have to get back in your car, sit once again in all of that horrific traffic, and then go home, and hopefully you get to have something to eat. But then you have this realization where the frustration truly comes in. You come to the realization that you don't have any food in your damn house, right? So now you got to go to the grocery store. and then it's pack time. I like to call it the hunter-gatherer time. So you're at the grocery store at 6 o'clock at night. There's everybody in your damn way. Everybody's going slow. There's some lady at the register who's like, I like to say, not even working with purpose, etc. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself like, God damn, why me? Why me? Life sucks. I hate this. I hate that. And everything. And this is once again getting caught up into the ego. This is once again being caught up into the self. The key to this is that you might actually fall into this. If you do fall into this, the key, like I just said, sorry, kind of lost my train of thought for a second. I'm in here in beautiful South Beach today, and just to say there's a lot of beautiful things in South Beach to be looking at that can catch your eye real quick, okay? But to the point, say you're sitting in that line, and here's where it comes in to the idea of free thinking and the idea of critical thinking. You can choose to think all these things. You can choose to think, all right, I fucking hate life. I hate this. I hate that. Why everything sucks and woe is me type thing, And this is easy. This is the default This is the default settings I spoke of before, okay? This is what it's kind of like we're almost programmed to think. But if you actually decide, then realize, if you think critically, you'll realize that there's other options to thinking. For example, say that that lady at the end that's checking out everything, right? Her job is mindless and just horrifically boring, probably, and everything about her job sucks, probably, especially at that time of the day, okay? So she's sitting there, and she is far more miserable than probably you are, even at your own job. What about the people in the line? In a way, you can sit there and think, oh, these stupid people, these people are so ugly, this, that, and the other. Oh, why are they in front of me? But you could also think, maybe their jobs suck even worse than yours. Maybe they have struggles in their lives that you can never even dream of or imagine. Maybe, just maybe, you actually don't have it so bad, And that's kind of one of the things that says critical thinking, And it comes down to this as well. I like to say that everybody worships something. Everybody, I don't care if you say I'm an atheist, I don't worship anything. You worship something. Everybody worships something. I don't care if they say it's God, Jehovah, Allah, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Wicca. I don't care if they say I worship a big statue of a fucking alien that's meditating at the park. I don't care if they say they worship a tree. Everybody worships something. Sadly, in the society that we live in today, rather than worship the inner self, rather than worship the glory of just being alive and all the beautiful things around us and being in the present moment, which is truly most important, because the future doesn't exist, nor does the past. The only thing that really exists at the moment is this moment, the present. Sadly, though, with the cycle I talked about, the birth, school, college, job, family, reproduce, die, that cycle tries to get us to stop thinking critically once again. And what it really kind of focuses on is the worship of money, the worship of consumerism. It's kind of like this. If all of you, and that's once again, this is a default setting that we're pushed towards, okay? It's a sad thing. It really is, because it all comes to this. If you worship money and you worship consumerism and you worship things, if you will, you'll never have enough money. You'll never have enough things, and you will never truly be happy. And it's just kind of like if, say, you fancy yourself as an intellect, a mind, the type of mind that goes out there, and you are a genius type. You feel you're the book smart one, you're the educated one. Well, if all you ever think of is intellect, you're always going to be worried. Maybe you're not as smart as you think you are, and maybe at any given moment somebody's going to expose you for the fraud that you actually are, or at least you believe that you are, It's just simple things like that we really have to think about, If you worship power, I want all the power, I want all the money, I want this. If you worship power, in essence, you're always going to be weak, because you're always, once you attain that power, even if you ever attain that power that you think you have, one, it may never be enough, and two, you're always going to be afraid that somebody's going to take that power from you. So in your pursuit of worship of power, you've actually become a very weak person. Then it works. I don't want to go political on this, but I mean, we could look at our last president, a man who worshipped money. He's never got enough money. He worships power, but never had enough power, and always trying to put everybody down because of his own weaknesses and insane amount of insecurities. I mean, that's the perfect example of people like that. And I don't care if you're right wing, left wing, whatever. In the end, it's all connected to the same bird. It has nothing to do with politics. I'm just pointing out the fact of personality types, But to the point, once we achieve the fact that we don't have to think of these things, we admit that we might worship something, that is in a sense an ability to see our own faults. And once we see these faults, and once we can actually think critically about them, we become free people. And but freedom comes with stipulations. I mean, it's easy to be a slave because society is designed for it. But what is freedom? What do you need to actually have to be able to critically think and become free? Well, you have to have attention. You have to pay attention to all the things that are going on around you. Thus, you have to have awareness, which means that you have to be within this moment. But here's the hard one for most people. You have to have discipline. You have to have the discipline to actually be able to look around you and to actually take the time and critically think about the things going on around you. And here's the one that gets most people. You have to have the ability to take others into your mind and have compassion. And even more so, sacrifice. You have to sacrifice in many different ways daily, and helping other people, doing all the things you can. Like, for example, today, I was getting ready to come down here to South Beach, and I decided to take the bus as opposed to ride my bike. And, the ladies, they're like, there's room for one person. Now, there was a group of everybody, and there were some people that tried to get on, and I actually kind of pushed them away, and I was like, no, let this old lady get on, She's elderly. She deserves to be the one to get on the bus, not anybody else, And I mean, that's a stupid little thing to say you're compassionate about, but I was the only one that was actually willing to let her, and the only one eventually that actually scared everybody enough to force her to say, no, she's getting on, fuck all you people. But what's the alternative? Unconsciousness. You can live in a rat race, and you can be a slave. In the end, you're going to have to make this choice whether you want to think critically. You're going to have to choose to actually go out there and pay attention, to be aware of your moments, to have discipline to do so, and to have the ability to take others into your mind and have compassion for everything around you. So you make that choice. And like I said before, kind of like those fish. They didn't know what water was, and maybe you didn't know what water was at the same time. But for me, the water is the freedom, the clear thought, and the ability to actually think outside of the trap that is in a sense, our default setting, our rat race, unconsciousness, our slavery, birth, college, birth, school, job, wife, reproduce, death, or however order you want to put it in, And like I said, for all of you who think this was some sort of a holy sermon, if you will, or I'm preaching to you all again. I'm not trying to, I promise you, but this isn't anything about life after death. Life after death, I can't tell you about, I don't know. But I do know one thing. This is about life before your death. And if you want to truly be free, start thinking about everything I said. And hopefully some of this made sense to all of you, okay? So, coming today from not lovely Miami Beach, but lovely South Beach, I'd like to tell everybody, praying won't help, hustle hard. I hope everybody found this well. Actually, the t-shirts are at the house. I'm out of pretty much all the large sizes, but I'll get back to what the small sizes are. I put some up the other day, but I got more orders, so I got to go through what my orders are, and then I'll be able to go through what I got left, okay? So as always, as I say in old Canada, peace out, as we say here in wonderful Miami Beach. Well, today's South Beach, so we say hasta luego, dale, ciao. And as I like to say, everybody, I'm out. Deuces. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Hopefully all of our days are better than any of us actually deserve. All right, bye.